Tonight on Top Story, President Akufo-Addo has officially assented to the e-levy bill into law, paving way for the planned implementation in May. But the minority is faulting the president for that and will consider their legal options.
Why is the president in this kind of indecent state to give access to bills, a law, the passage of which has been seriously contested? I think he wants to overreach the Supreme Court, and that would be very unfortunate. The president must allow the judiciary to do its work.
Also tonight, Roads Ministry attempt to explain President Akufo-Addo's claim of building more than 10,000 kilometers of new road raises more questions as it reviews the president's figure included already paved roads that were maintained.
Only 68.5 kilometers of new roads. The rest are pothole patching, sealing, graveling and re-graveling. As we speak, the presidency or the Ministry of Roads and Highways does not have the data to back the 10,800 kilometers of roads that the president mentioned.
We have details of that here on Top Story, brought to you by Vodafone. Together we can. We'll go to the roads conversation shortly here on Top Story, but let me first start from the presidency tonight, where the e-levy bill has been signed into law.
I'm happy that the House has finally found it possible to pass the e-levy bill. I believe strongly the levy is going to make a significant contribution to revenue mobilization and the management of the national economy. And I want to thank members of the House for making this possible.
So if you had any doubts about the implementation of the e-levy following its controversial passage in Parliament, it's official. Tonight, President Akufo-Addo has signed the approved e-levy bill into law. Joy News understands the president signed the bill as soon as it hit his table after a controversial approval of that tax measure. So it has now become a binding law which will be operationalized as a revenue measure across the country. The minority insists the passage of the bill was done illegally and have since filed a suit at the Supreme Court asking the court to declare the approval as null and void and of no effect. We'll get into details because already they've been reacting to this, and parliamentary correspondent Parker Wilson has us covered on that. But my colleague Kwekwa Sante has been monitoring that assenting of this bill into law by President Akufo-Addo just before he entered that cabinet meeting today. So, Kwekwa, what have you picked up?
So we know that when the bill was passed last Tuesday, Parliament said they wanted to satisfy themselves for some time by including all the specific amendments that were done on the bill. The major amendment that was done on the bill was moving the transaction from 1.75% to 1.5%. And so all these amendments and other little amendments that were done with the bill, the Speaker of Parliament categorically stated that he wanted to take some time and put this in a composite bill and send it to the president's desk. Mm-hmm. We know that they were supposed to do that yesterday, but the State of the Nation address and all the other matters that came up did not allow that. So we know that this morning, parliamentarians and the leadership were very busy. They put together everything. And this afternoon, like 3-4 hours ago, as soon as the bill hit the president's desk, he was preparing for a cabinet meeting. He stopped all those processes and signed the bill into law, effectively giving the finance minister the go-ahead to partner with GRA and other technical partners to ensure that this bill now comes into law. Well,
that's Kwekwa Sante giving us the backstory to the assenting of this bill into law. That's the e-levy. So like I said, if you have any doubts about it, it's now a law. And already we know that the finance minister had hinted that we'll start implementing it in May. We'll give you details on that. But let me take you to Parliament, where there have been reactions already coming in from the minority side, and both the majority and minority as well. And correspondent Parker Wilson has us covered on that. Parker, already you've had some interactions starting with the minority. What exactly has been the reaction to this?
Emefa, I must say the minority is super disappointed the president had hurriedly assented to the bill, the e-levy bill, into law. In fact, even just yesterday, someone of the Blacker was making the point that the president should hasten slowly because there's a matter pending before the Supreme Court. And so if the bill is passed into law and it is implemented, what happens to individuals who've been deducted in the event that the Supreme Court rules in favor of the minority. Just this afternoon, in fact, after the assenting to the bill, I had the opportunity to speak to a lawyer and who is also a ranking on the Defense and Interior Committee, James Agaga, who made an interesting revelation that what has happened, the move by the president, essentially, perhaps might even compromise the judges going forward.
Well, we'll hear from James Agalga shortly on this because I know you had an extensive interaction with him, amongst others. He mentioning that they may have to consider whether they have to head back to the court to overturn this particular decision by the president. But have we had the opportunity to interact with the majority also on this?
Well, luckily for us, I have with me the Member of Parliament for Botiano constituency, Sylvester Tete. He's there with me. Honorable. Briefly, the president assented to it. Minorities are alleging that they could compromise the judges. Your brief reaction?
I think that's unfortunate comment to be coming from any member of parliament saying that the president has duly executed his mandate as the president of the republic, and that will compromise the judges going forward. Look, the constitution, the presidential elections have been challenged in this country, and the president has been sworn in before we go to court and challenge.
But it's a different matter.
It is already
the case is before the Supreme Court. Your colleagues on the other side are challenging that.
There was a case before the Supreme Court. The president-elect was sworn in and was working before the case was determined. Nobody had raised two cases. It's 2012 and it's 2016. So for me, I don't see this as a problem.
But why the hurry, sir?
I have wanted the president to sign it yesterday.
Yesterday?
Yes, last night. If that is way, you should have signed it.
I see. Emefa, Mutala Ibrahim just joined me as well. Tamale Central MP. Mutala, he's saying that the president perhaps should have signed it yesterday. And today he did that. Your reaction?
Well, nothing surprises me again under this government. President Nanado rules us like a king and not a president. This is the president.
Well, he's the president. Constitutionally, he's the president.
He rules us like a king and not a president. This is the president who touts himself as a respecter of laws. It is prejudicial, and it can compromise the decision of the Supreme Court. But you see, the interesting aspect of it is that the challenge we have in the Supreme Court is about the violation of a constitutional provision, a violation of Article 104, and more so, a violation and disregard to a decision that was made by the Supreme Court just a few weeks ago. It won't change anything. But you see, this is the president who tells himself as a respecter of rule of law. We were thinking that if you had a stronger case, why are you in a rush?
But you know that the president, the country needs revenue to ensure that we function as a nation.
The Finance himself told us that should this thing be passed properly, they would start implementing it in May.
Right.
That is what the Minister for
But what the president has done is to give the minister the legal backing to go ahead with the work.
That the minister himself said that if this thing is passed properly, they will start implementing it in May. They could have gone ahead doing the things they want to do, waiting for the decision of the Supreme Court, except that they have some information that we do not know. We are very convinced that we have a very strong case, and we have no doubt in mind that the Supreme Court will rule in our favor because there is a precedent. I don't know what this man is rushing for. In any case, it is the only government. Nanado is the only president who celebrated having imposed serious economic and excruciating economic decisions on the people of this country. Have you ever seen any leader in this world celebrated over a tax he is imposing on the people of his country?
But this is a revenue measure. Not just any tax to burden a tax that would reverse the burden of the American.
A revenue measure should not be regressive. A revenue measure should not be opposed by the entirety of this country. Your medium, multimedia, you conducted a survey, and over 90% of the people of this country say they are against it. Central University, the university that made the auditorium available for Dr. Bawumia to engage in the voodoo economy, conducted a survey. Over 90% of the people of this country say they are against it. Civil society organizations say they are against it. Show me one single group of people in this country who are in support of it. Yet the same government will tell us that it's a listening government. If you are listening to the people of this country, you ought to have listened to the profound opposition. But I can tell you, it doesn't matter what happens. We will force this government we will force this government to remove this.
Well, so that's interaction between Murtala Mohammed together with our parliamentary correspondent, Kwesi Parker-Wilson. Well, that's just the teaser of what's to come on Newsnight. We'll get into details on this, get you all the reactions when it comes to the president's assenting of this controversial e-levy bill into law as we speak. And already we've been hearing from the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, on when exactly the implementation will start.
Of that nature happen, things change. And so it's not an issue of blaming. You had COVID, and now you had the Ukrainian war. Who would have thought about it? Fuel, food, and financing have become a problem. Finance ministers, we call it the three dangerous Fs. Fuel, food, and financing. We can destabilize any society. But there's nothing that we can't overcome if we work together as a people. And that's where we are. And I think yesterday registered a moment in our history where things came together, and we shall move forward and conquer. Nothing, I mean, that's democracy. You know, somebody has an issue, they go to court, you resolve it, you move on. I don't think there's anything dramatic about that, you know. We believe there was a quorum in the House. You're walking out does not mean that there's no quorum. You could have gone for lunch and come back, who knows. So we are really pleased that things went well. And I think the nation is settled. There's a certain spirit of calmness and yabre yenko yenim. Yeah, it's a key question. We had some meetings of the Controller General and the NGRA, and they have indicated to us that right at the beginning of May, they should be able to get the systems all together.
That's the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta. And that takes us to our second story for tonight here on Top Story. It is emerging tonight that President Akufo-Addo's claim of building 10,875 kilometers new roads in 5 years actually includes already paved roads that were maintained. Now, that's according to a statement by the Roads and Highways Ministry in reaction to a storm of controversy triggered by the president's claim during a State of the Nation address yesterday. Well, and also already we've been checking, and it appears that the same kilometers takes you all the way from Ghana to China. Well, the president had emphasized that the controversial 10,875 kilometers of roads were new.
It is in the road sector that we have registered the greatest infrastructure achievement. I know that the word unprecedented is often used with careless abandon in our public discourse, but I use it carefully and purposefully. In the 5 years of my government, so far, more roads have been built, improved, and upgraded than at any equivalent period under any government in the history of Ghana. Some 10,885 kilometers of new roads have been constructed in these 5 years. Let me mention, Mr. Speaker, that yesterday it was my honor and great pleasure to have commissioned the Tamale interchange. The first such interchange in the northern sector of our country, which the people of Tamale gladly celebrated. I considered it to be a most satisfying birthday present. We intend to continue with the building of roads around the country to accelerate the opening up of our country.
So the key word there, new roads, and he puts it at 10,875. Well, concerns have been raised about where exactly these roads can be found. We heard the minority yesterday right here on Top Story question the figures that were put out by the president. Well, Chairman of the Roads and Transport Committee, Kennedy Osenyako, has been fighting off claims that President Akufo-Addo misled the nation during the State of the Nation address. He explained that there are over 6,000 roads that were constructed within the limited period that makes it the 10,000 by Cocoa Board, insisting the statement by the president is actually accurate.
Kilometers of road that have been constructed within a certain period. The minister was specific. And my colleague Rankin have re-emphasized that the document that was brought by the minister gave a total figure of road that have been constructed and completed by Ministry of Roads and Highways by which is 4,263. This excludes what the road Cocoa Board or Cocoa Roads have also done. So if we want to put what Cocoa Board has done on their own, which I have given you between June to December 2021, they were able to complete 6,400 kilometers, which is a combination of several programs, whether asphalt overlay, whether spot improvement, whether regraveling, whether partial reconstruction. That is what the ministry only reported at the time what has been completed. They couldn't have reported what was not completed. What the ministry does is roads that are not completed, they don't report it, or the road that they don't have the details of it from Cocoa Board, they don't add it to their document until they get full details from Cocoa Board before they add it. And this is, they have now gotten that figure from Cocoa Board. When did they get a figure? Well, per the information that I have now, I requested for the details from Cocoa Board project, which I was given because of these controversies. I wanted to know where is the details of Cocoa Board, and I was given yesterday. And these are details that have been given to me. That was what Cocoa Board, and you can verify. These are things that you don't need to belabor about it. Just ask it from Cocoa Board, and they'll get it.
That the president was not giving the figures that you have been explicitly.
The president gave a total figure. The president is pretty much aware of the total figure of road that we have done. So he gave a total figure. The president did not give a breakdown as to which comprises of Cocoa Road or which comprises of what the Ministry of Roads and Highways.
So that's Kennedy Osenyako there. He's the chairman of the Roads and Transport Committee. They're speaking earlier today. Thankfully, he joins us on the line. But we are getting some clarity from the Roads Ministry, which is admitting tonight that the president's figure was not all new roads, but also included already paved roads that had simply been maintained. My colleague Kojo Brace joins me in the studio with details of the ministry statement. Let me just welcome Honorable Kennedy Osenyako to Top Story. We are grateful for your time here on Top Story, sir.
Yes, thank you, Emefa.
Okay, please stay with me so that we go through that statement that has been put out by the Roads Ministry. Then we can come to you for further clarity on some issues that we still want answers to. So, Kojo, they first gave us a sense of the total kilometer of roads in Ghana that requires work. Let's go through it.
So, according to the statement, out of the total network of some 94,203 kilometers, 73% are unpaved, and those need works to be done on them.
Interesting. Now, we learned that the roads in question also includes already constructed roads. And they actually gave an interesting definition of construction.
Yeah. According to their statement, every work done on any road technically is construction. So even if they are doing pothole maintenance or they are doing that's pothole patching, anything they do on the road is technically construction.
Graveling amongst others. So
if you look at their statement, they say that on paved roads, the majority of things they've done on unpaved roads include grading, graveling, re-graveling, and spot improvement. On paved roads, what they've done is minor rehabilitation and upgrading, partial reconstruction, and asphalt overlay. So that's the things that they've done on those roads that amount to the total kilometers they're talking about.
Okay, well, yesterday we did a check and we found that the officially reported total road network done by this government was just over 4,000 kilometers. Did they explain this disparity?
According to them, when the minister was answering to a question in Parliament as of on February 15th, he didn't include the latest data that they have. Now, they say that from as of the end of February 2022, a total of 1,702 kilometers of construction activities and maintenance works have been done on paved roads. And we know what paved roads are, roads that already have, a ceiling on. And then some 4,910 kilometers of works on unpaved roads have been completed, where you're talking about graveling, re-graveling, and what have you. So that's what their statement says.
Okay, so they've given figures that you've been adding to the already 4,000, a little over 4,000 kilometers.
Exactly. So if you add the 1,702 kilometers of construction on paved roads to the 4,910 kilometers on unpaved roads, that's up to some 6,000. When you add it to the 4,000, it gives you the figure that
10,885 that the president mentioned.
What they didn't specify is whether they are new ones, but they've explained that whether they are doing pothole patching or whatever, these are.
But they've explained that these are construction. But did they say whether they are actually new roads, like the president mentioned?
They didn't. So what they did is to explain that whether we are working on paved roads or unpaved roads, these are construction works.
But do we know where these roads are exactly?
They didn't tell us. We're expecting them to tell us sometime to come.
Okay. Thankfully, we have the chairman of the Roads and Transport Committee in Parliament. Once again, Kennedy Osenyako, we are grateful for your time here on Top Story. Are you able to help where exactly we can find these roads?
You want where all these roads have been constructed, then I have to bring you a whole booklet for you to go through.
Okay.
I can't mention everything.
Okay, so I heard the president say new roads. The statement also did not actually tell me whether indeed these roads are new, these 10,000 are new. They only tell me that some unpaved, paved, they all come up to construction. So I'm asking about these new roads, whether you know.
What are new roads? Already we have 78,402 kilometers. That was what is there. So any activity that you do on any of these kilometers or any of these networks are new work that you are doing. A new road is a virgin road that have been bulldozed and constructed for the first time. So if it is not part of the network, and the network that we have are just the existing network. So any work that they do, whether reconstruction, regraveling, whether asphalting, or whether partial reconstruction, whether upgrading, other spot improvement, they are all part of the new work that we are doing on the road, either on the unpaved road or on the paved road. So the president was right if he said that there are new 10,875 kilometers of new road that have been constructed. Anything that we are doing on our existing network are just new work that are being done. So he was right to put it that we have constructed that much. So I don't know where the difficulty is coming from. And the ministry have come out to clarify it. But people, it seems to see some of these road issues are very technical. So when people don't understand and they're talking about construction, what is construction? Because when we are doing spot improvement, when we are doing regraveling, when we are doing sealing, when we are doing upgrading, when we are doing asphalt overlay, they are all construction. But people don't understand. When they hear construction, they think you are going to do a new thing too. That's not how they classify road activities. They have already classified programs under the ministry. So other paid or unpaid, there are programs, specific programs to tackle these two different categories or road conditions.
Okay, so just for clarity, in case we have issues with the English language, for instance, if we are told by the president that they've built 10,875 new roads, can you tell us how many then have been improved and upgraded?
So we have 4,000. Earlier on, the minister has come to report to Parliament that he had completed 4,263 kilometers, which comprise asphalt overlay, reconstruction, upgrading, resealing, spot improvement. He has given us already. And that was the first part which he reported to Parliament. which all the details are there, captured in the Hansard. And after he has presented this document to Parliament, there were still an ongoing project that was not completed, somewhere even 98%, 99%, but they cannot capture. They can't capture until it is completed 100% before they capture it. And that is why they have given us between June to December 2021, there was some work that was done. And if you look at even under critical road that was done by Ghana Highways Authority, it's about 312.74 kilometers. Cocoa Road, also under Feeder Road, did 367 kilometers. Town Road that was done by both Feeder Roads and Urban Roads, we did 122.21 kilometers. Then Asphalt Overlay by Department of Urban Roads also did 581 kilometers. Then Sino Hydro, we also did 69 kilometers in the let's say the Feeder Road areas.
So Mr. Senyako, what you're telling me, Mr. Senyako, so what you're telling me is that between, let's say, June 2021 up until February 2022, what you're saying is you've constructed over 6,000 kilometers of roads. Is that what you're saying?
Which 4,900 of it are spot improvement. Spot improvement. Spot improvement means that they have upgraded the road. They have some road, they've put in covers there. They've resurfaced it. They've put in a base on it.
So spot improvement, they are not new roads, are they? Are they new? Are they new roads?
These are roads that are not motorable, and they have done it. They have made it motorable. And
so these are roads. They are not new, are they? Are they new?
That's why I'm saying that any road construction in our network that we do any work on it, it's a new work.
Okay, and you're unable to tell us, at least off the top of your head, some key ones, for instance, that we can all check and verify for ourselves.
Then come to Achim or down to Achim's road to Amanfopo. My road has been done. Come to my town roads, all have been done. To Asamankasi.
So there were existing roads and then it's been revamped, right?
Come again.
At least take me to the Volta region where I come from. Can you name one
key one? Volta region.
Exactly.
Oh, there are a lot of roads. There are a lot of roads that we are doing in the whole area. Even when you go to the Eastern corridor, if you pass through going, there are a lot of road projects that are being undertaken there. Maybe I can give you all the details for you to go through. There are about 1,000+ roads that we are doing across the country.
Okay, we're grateful. We'll leave it here for now. And that's Kennedy Osenyako. He is the chairman of Parliament Roads and Transport Committee. Well, we've been engaging a civil engineer today on the Super Morning Show, Engineer Abdullahi Mahama. Here's what he had to say.
I have been in the field of road construction from the year 2004. I can say on authority, if you take over 80 contractors and you fully pay them their money from last year May to this year March, you cannot execute 6,000 kilometers of roads.
Not even grading of roads?
If it's about grading, then we have 100,000 roads in the country. But is that what we are classifying as the roads that have been completed? We need clarity. The Minister for Roads and Highways, the PRO of the Minister of Roads and Highways ought to come. And then when we ask the questions, they explain so that it will benefit the whole country. Then we can tell and critique what they mean by the roads which have been fully constructed.
That's it for Top Story, proudly brought to you by Vodafone. Together we can News Night starts shortly.
Vodafone Red, you know here, Jack. Me too, no expiry of Vodafone Red. Yes.